Iran successfully destroys Israeli military sites. Iran's smart strategy to cripple Israel's nuclear program. Imagine you're sitting in your living room, sipping a cup of tea, watching the news, and suddenly, a breaking news alert flashes across the screen. Israel is preparing to strike Iran's nuclear facilities. This isn't just another clash between armed groups or soldiers. We're talking about two powerful countries, both with massive military capabilities. And what's more alarming is the possibility that they both might possess nuclear weapons. Since April 2025, the United States and Iran have held 5 rounds of talks about Iran's nuclear program. But Iran rejected the American proposal, calling it extremely biased. The deal didn't promise to lift sanctions and demanded a complete halt to Iran's uranium enrichment, something Tehran flatly refused. Meanwhile, Israel sees even civilian nuclear capabilities in Iran as a major threat. Prime Minister Netanyahu has reportedly been considering a unilateral military strike on Iran's nuclear facilities, even without full United States backing. This situation is a reminder that Middle East tensions aren't just some distant conflict. When major powers face off, the whole world holds its breath. Iran didn't stay silent in the face of Israel's aggressive rhetoric. In a bold statement, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi warned that if Israel truly plans to attack, Iran will respond with force, without hesitation. He called on the international community not to sit back and watch, saying real action is needed to de-escalate the crisis. If not, Iran would be forced to take its own steps to protect its nuclear facilities and strategic assets. Araghchi also said Israel isn't the only one to blame. He pointed fingers at the United States too, saying there were signs of American involvement in the planned strike on Tehran. Soon after, Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps made its stance clear. Spokesperson Ali Mohammed Naini issued a stern warning. If Israel attacks, Iran will strike back, hard. He confidently stated that Israel doesn't seem to understand just how much military power Iran can bring to bear in a full-blown conflict. Tensions between Iran and Israel have once again hit a boiling point. Their long-troubled relationship is now further from peace than ever, especially after a recent Israeli airstrike in Yemen. The target this time? The airport in the capital, Sana'a. According to Hizb ut-Tahrir, Israeli bombs hit the runway in 4 separate attacks, destroying even a commercial Yemenia Airways plane, the only passenger plane the country had left. Iran condemned the attack immediately. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Ismail Bakai called the strike proof of Israel's brutality and hostility, not just towards Yemenis, but the broader Muslim world in West Asia. He claimed Israel deliberately tried to block Yemeni pilgrims from traveling to Mecca, calling it a major crime that can't be ignored. Bakai also slammed Israel's continued assaults on critical infrastructure across Yemen, from ports and airports to food storage facilities, labeling them war crimes and violations of basic human rights. With attacks ongoing, any hope of improving Iran-Israel relations seems far-fetched, even if the United States eventually succeeds in curbing Iran's nuclear ambitions. So, how did things escalate to the brink of war again? Not long ago, Donald Trump's administration opened the door for talks with Iran about its murky nuclear program. It all began on April 12, 2025, after Trump sent a personal message to Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. The first round of negotiations took place in Oman, with U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff and Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi involved, though they communicated indirectly. Surprisingly, the first meeting went better than expected, raising hopes that the international community could rein in Tehran's nuclear ambitions. Talks moved to a second round on April 19 in Rome, with Oman again mediating. Witkoff and Araghchi remained key players, still communicating through intermediaries. Progress looked promising during the third round in Moscow. But things fell apart during the fourth. Talks stalled, the atmosphere turned tense, and the fifth round was on the verge of collapse. One major reason for the breakdown: Trump demanded that Iran completely halt all uranium enrichment. Iran flatly refused, saying their nuclear program was strictly peaceful. Chief negotiator Araghchi made it clear, Iran is open to talks if the end goal is total denuclearization for all sides. But if the U.S. insists on shutting down even peaceful enrichment, Iran won't sign any deal. They argue peaceful enrichment is non-negotiable. While American diplomacy was stumbling, Israel was already preparing for the worst. Intelligence reports suggested that Israel was making concrete plans to strike Iranian nuclear sites. Some of its aircraft and missile systems had reportedly been moved to key bases like Nevatim and Tel Aviv. A senior U.S. intelligence official even said Israel could launch a solo strike within 7 hours. No need for outside approval. If the outcome of the U.S.-Iran deal doesn't satisfy Israeli interests, many believe Israel will act on its own. As tensions over Iran's nuclear sites continued, Prime Minister Netanyahu finally broke his silence. He strongly denied that Israel was preparing an attack, especially while United States-Iran talks were still underway. He dismissed the rumors as fake news, but the question remains, was he telling the truth? The intel didn't come from just anywhere. It was a high-level American official who said it. So, who's hiding the truth? Suspicions grew after President Trump indirectly confirmed something different at a press conference. When asked whether he warned Netanyahu against disrupting negotiations, Trump gave a detailed answer that suggested military discussions had taken place. It seemed to confirm that Netanyahu was well aware of the risks, and perhaps hiding something. Or maybe Trump accidentally exposed a lie from his closest ally. Since last year, Israel has repeatedly threatened to attack Iran's nuclear facilities. In September, the Wall Street Journal reported that Israel had sent a warning through back channels. If Iran attacked first, Israel would strike back. A month later, USA Today and Forbes said Israel was considering retaliation after Iran's missile strike on October 1st, including possible strikes on nuclear sites. Even as recently as February, both the Wall Street Journal and the Washington Post reported that U.S. intelligence believed Israel was seriously planning a major attack, especially after taking advantage of perceived internal instability in Iran. Then, just last month, the New York Times revealed that Israel and the U.S. had even drafted a joint strike plan, with May 2025 as the earliest launch date. But President Trump ultimately blocked it, aiming to keep